Hey you guys, what to do? What's up? Your girl G here, and we're right back at it, y'all. I'm coming back to you to talk about Real Housewives of Potomac. This season, I think this is episode 3 or 4 if I'm not mistaken. And right now, all I can say is y'all playing. Real Housewives of Potomac, y'all playing games with Ashley, Gizelle, and Robyn. Y'all playing games. And the way y'all are bringing Nneka in, I'm not liking it. I'm not liking it. Straight up, I'm not liking it, okay? So we'll dissect that a little bit more and talk about it. So let's go ahead and get into it. If you're new to my channel, I appreciate you for tuning in. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button because it is free 99, okay? That button's going to be right somewhere over here. Just tap that button right there. It's free, okay? It ain't going to kill you. Just hit that subscribe button right there. Once again, where is it at? Right there, okay? So push that button, subscribe. You already know what's up. Everybody who's already part of the Juice Box crew, y'all make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Let's get this video to 10 to 15 likes and drop down in the comments and let me know that you guys stopped by, okay? So let's go ahead. Let me scoot on up. Let's go ahead and get into the bull, all right? So the episode starts straight up with the bull. Ashley playing broken telephone to Wendy, talking about how Nneka said all these messed up things, how she's Osu, and Wendy's like, Osu is like, yeah, it's like a thing where you're shunned, but that's just some bad blog title. And so Wendy's like, but it's cool, you know, if that's how she feels, then whatever. So as they're inside talking, everybody outside is talking to Robyn. So Mia's like, oh, Robyn, I know everything that you're going through, and as your friend, I want to know I'm supporting you in the right way. So what can I, how can I help you in supporting you the right way? Now, Robyn leads the conversation with, I'm not running, I'm not hiding, I'm not saying can't nobody talk about it or whatever, but it's just a shame because people are just so insistent on, being so involved in my life and everything. Matter of fact, at this time, Ashley was inside, so she's like, you know what, Gizelle, Charisse, Ashley, they actually came down and sat with me and, talked about everything. And so she breaks down how, Gizelle was like, Gizelle feels like I should have been upset at Juan. And Gizelle was like, no, hold on, I am more particular, I am more specific, that Juan should have been more considerate in being out with a woman to be pictured. And so Robyn now all of a sudden is like, I'm not going to ask Juan to change his normal routine and his normal lifestyle. I'm just not going to ask him to do something that's out of the normal. I'm not going to be, telling him to live differently because the block is hot. But that's not what you said last week, though. You literally said that you told Juan, hey, the block is hot. You going out there with Bree, it's not going to look good. And see, the thing is, because Juan don't care, that's why Robyn don't care, because she has no choice but to not care because Juan is not changing his behavior. So it's like either get on my program or get lost. And so Robyn has decided to get on Juan's program. So it's like because he don't plan on moving differently, Robyn's just like gonna tell everybody else like, oh, I agree with his program, I'm gonna go along with it. When really deep down, you don't. You're really hurt and you're tired of him doing this to you. But because he's not changing and you not going nowhere, it's like you got to try to convince the rest of the world that it's normal when in fact it's not normal what y'all are doing and what Juan is doing and how you're trying to make it all seem. So let's stop it. But nonetheless, she's like, yeah, everything's good. They kind of like settled it. So Ashley and Wendy come back outside. They start talking about Wendy and her talk show, and Ashley's like, Wendy, Karen told me that you're doing a talk show. She's like, yeah, because, you guys know I'm a political commentator, and, I just really feel like this is the next steps because a lot of shows out there, they don't want to touch, controversial topics. And I forgot, it was either Ashley, was it Ashley or it wasn't Charisse, was it? Basically, no, it might have been Karen that had kind of said something. And she's like, yeah, we just want to talk and uplift. And Mia kind of turns to Ashley, was like, well, what am I supposed to do? Because she don't want to talk to me. And so Wendy turns to Karen, was like, would you talk to somebody who threw a drink on you? Like Karen and Charisse, would you talk to somebody who threw a drink on you? No, I think not. Mia, because you haven't really genuinely apologized for what you did. Like, at all. Nor do you think you were wrong. You want to come back this season and blame it on, oh, I mixed alcohol with my medication. I'm not buying it. Yeah, no. And then Gizelle over there, she's just quiet, just kind of like looking back and forth and squinching her face, because at the end of the day, she don't fuck with Wendy and Wendy don't fuck with her. They basically for real have the relationship of like, we see each other type situation. Yeah, Wendy's like, yeah, you know, for this show, it's definitely for a target audience who has a certain level of, you know, intellectual thinking, you know, critical thinking. And Ashley was like, well, I guess that's gonna go over my head. And Sharice was like, ooh, shady. And so Mia was like, oh, really? Like, Mia decided she want to pipe in and say something to the extent of like, oh, because when Mia, like, Wendy said something about the drink being thrown, and she was like, not only is it that, but after the situation, you were on social media talking about me, like, don't try to throw the rock and hide your hand. And so Mia tried to all of a sudden like deflect and was like, oh, well, you saw what happened on social media, and if you're this woman talking about uplifting, why wouldn't you uplift me in that moment? And she's like, because you're slow. Girl, why am I trying to uplift the bitch that threw a drink on me? Like, Mia, do you hear what you're saying? Yeah, you got your ass tore up on social media, because look what you did. You had every right to get your ass tore up on Twitter. Twitter is not good these days for Gizelle, Robyn, Mia, Ashley, 50-50. But the three of them, okay, it ain't too safe for them. And so you mad because Wendy's like, oh, not jumping to save you for what? Bitch, you threw a drink on me last year. And you still ain't apologized. So no, like she said, uplift what? You slow, heifer. And Mia didn't know what to say. She's like, oh, that's me. She's like, because you're slow. And yeah, me and Wendy, she said something back. And then Wendy was like, she basically just doubled down, like, bitch, because you're slow. Like, so they all go back. Oh, no, Robyn and Karen go inside, matter of fact, speaking of. Because Gizelle was, she calls it, she's like, oh, yeah, you know, well, now that we got that situated, you know, I did have a conversation with Karen and how she, you know, she needs to apologize to you. And Karen was like, well, bitch, Robyn need to apologize to me. So they go inside to go talk. And it simply straight up was a conversation of like, okay, don't talk shit about me. I won't talk shit about you. Because Karen asked straight up was like, okay, you know, everything that was said last time, you know, you and Juan, are you in a, traditional relationship? Are you in an open relationship? She's like, no, it's a traditional relationship. It's not open. And so Karen was like, well, that's all I need to know. You know, can we just agree that, you know, I won't speak rumors. You know, I'll only come and say if it's facts. And she looked at, and Robyn's like, basically like, okay. And she was like, because that's just not what I want to do, you know. And Robyn's like, well, you started it. And so it was kind of like, Karen was like, girl, no, you started it. Like, they both point their fingers at each other, but Robyn, last season, girl, you was on one. And we now know why you was on one last season, why you was making sure, you was trying to make sure everybody else was catching some strays. But it's because you knew behind the scenes you had a lot going on. So she definitely came for Karen last season, if you ask me. With the whole blue-eyed situation, cover, oh, people are going to see the real you, Karen. And then allowing Gizelle to go after Chris and Candace, even though she knew that stuff was bullshit. Like, last season was all a scheme that Todd set up to come to us with the bullshit. Point blank, period. And so now Karen and Robyn going back and forth. Well, you started. No, you started it. And it's like, Robyn, let's not. And for real, the fact that ain't nobody really getting in Robyn's ass like the way they really should is kind of pissing me off. I'm waiting for the moment that people really start getting into Robyn's ass, like for real. So everybody comes inside. They sit down, and Wendy takes this as a moment to invite Ashley to her kids' communion. And she's like, you know, I would love for you to come. And of course, Gizelle and Robyn just sitting there. Oh no! Before everybody comes in, Robyn was outside getting a drink, and Nneka comes up to check on her. She's like, oh, she's like, grab the drink or whatever. And she was like, how are you? I know how everything's been coming at you on social media. Just stay strong, da 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 da. And Robyn just kind of like, yeah, I'm not, worried about it. People always want to talk about me, but, people in their miserable lives, they just need something to talk about. I'm tough, and yeah, I had there at some moments did it feel like a pile on, and it was just kind of like, oh my God, enough. But I'm tough. I'll get through it. And Deborah, her ass come up right behind Robyn. Deborah the whole day was trying to get back on. It was literally so obvious because when Robyn and Nneka went to the bar, Deborah was right there. And if y'all notice, if y'all go watch it back, when all the ladies came inside and were sitting down and Wendy was talking to, inviting Ashley to the communion, look in the back, Deborah was back over there again with her Sesame Street looking ass. She wanted the beef so bad, which is why I'm not surprised why we, obviously heard about the fight that happened toward the end of the season. So yeah, she was definitely looking for her moment. But girl, your whole Happy Eddie situation is only benefiting Wendy and Eddie at this moment. But yeah, when Wendy invited Ashley, Robyn was like, I don't know why she's thinking like she's getting back at me because she's not doing nothing and or whatever. And it's just kind of like, girl, shut up. Y'all really don't like Wendy because y'all can't go toe to toe with her. Y'all don't like Candace because y'all can't handle their mouths. That's just really what it is. Y'all can't handle them. Mia gets upset because y'all can't handle them. Point blank, period. But moving on, it's the next day or whatever. There was this like quick little scene with Gizelle and her daughter. I don't want to be rude, y'all, but am I the only one thinking that her daughter had a foundation on that was like a shade and a half too light? Like, she's very fair skinned, but that was bright, okay? Bright, all right? But, now her daughter's getting ready to go off to college, and, she's just, excited and trying to buy clothes and everything, and Gizelle's just, talking about she like the party. She's like, Mom, you party? She's like, but y'all was the party. So it's like, Gizelle's going through the same thing that Heavenly's going through on Married to Medicine. You gotta let them fly the coop, okay? So then after that, there was a scene with Wendy and Eddie. Wendy is looking good, okay, on camera. Really good. The hair, edges is laid. Eddie, he's getting cuter and cuter to me by the seasons. But they basically talk to the kids about the communion and everything. They have them come upstairs and put their outfits on or whatever. And they're like, oh, you gotta wear white. Everybody's gotta wear yellow. But Wendy's like, I'm gonna wear white. And they're like, but you're not marrying me though. She's like, but I'm the mama, so I'm gonna wear white. So they do like a practice little run through, and they give them the little bread chips or whatever. Eddie knows exactly what he doing. He had on the Happy Eddie, okay, merchandise, okay. Y'all gonna play him if you want to, Happy Eddie, and he's in the marijuana business now. So Happy Eddie is literally the perfect. It's perfect. You thought she was doing something, Deborah, being messy with your old scheming, want to be on the scene ass, and now look at you. They done pulled a whole Candy, okay? You want to talk about I got a dungeon, bitch? I'm gonna go on a whole dungeon tour. So Eddie was like, oh, you gonna call me Happy Eddie? I'm gonna start a whole business, bitch. Watch me. So Wendy goes in the room with Eddie, and she basically just kind of explains how, she invited Ashley to the communion, but she's kind of feeling weird about Ashley because she told her about Nneka, which she kind of knows through passing, but she's like, I never really just like met Nneka or be introduced or had a full-on conversation. So she's like, Ashley was just kind of like, oh, Nneka was just kind of like, oh, like, what kind of doctor is she? Like, oh, she's not like a medical doctor. And then like, oh, she's Osu, and that's just a bad thing. She's Osu, but I'm not. And so Eddie's like, dang, do you even know this girl? She's like, no. So I think, Ashley, girl, you done started some because by the time we get to the end of the episode, we see that there was a whole reckoning that was happening behind the scenes because Ashley started up okay? So y'all take heed to that moment right there where she talked to Eddie about it and how this was a couple of weeks before this conversation that Nneka had with Robyn at the end of the episode. So, Karen and Ashley, they actually go out to go communion dress shopping. No, what's happening next? No, Wendy, Candace, and Karen Karen, I guess, is gonna be like a new friend of of Wendy's or whatever, who she previously was at like one of Wendy's brunches. And so they all sit down. I love their chemistry, their energy together. That was a good addition to me. If they actually bring her on, I feel like she would be a good addition. But Wendy fills Candace in on, you know, the housewarming or whatever. And she's like, yeah, girl. You know, everything was good, and Ashley came to me and she basically was like trying to fill me in on Nneka. And, you know, she's telling me how Nneka was like saying like, oh, you know, I'm Osu, and she basically kind of had a problem with me. And Candace was like, and Ashley told you this? Uh-huh. You know you can't trust that bitch. Like, he's like, Candace already knows, like, if Ashley said it, bitch, it's because she a Miss Says hoe, okay? Miss Says. That's literally what it is. So Candace was like, girl, I don't know. And Wendy's like, you know, this is going to be the first time that y'all see each other at my, you know, my kids' communion. And she's like, but I just really want y'all to do good because, you know, I like Ashley. It's just that, you know, I just don't know if I can trust her. And Candace is like, exactly, you know, I'll be cool with Ashley until that bitch stab you in the earlobe, you know? And that really what it is, like, you can't trust Ashley as far as you can throw that bitch because she's out for self, point blank, period. She looks to stir up the mess. Whether you are a friend or not, she's okay with you being collateral damage. And so now you gotta look at Ashley like, well, you too then, for real. So yeah. They definitely, Ashley with bringing Nneka in, she was colluding to make sure that Wendy and Nneka did not get along, and I hate that because it's purposeful. Like, it's literally purposeful because if we already know about the allegations that's been going on with RHOP and the colorism and the favoritism and all of that. Imagine if Nneka, the Nigerian, came on and befriended Wendy, like they became cool. That means it would be Wendy, Nneka, Candace on one side, back with Gizelle, Robyn, and Ashley on the other side. Only thus more confirming what we already feel about these bitches on this show. So Ashley was very much intentional about making sure she just placed that bomb right in the middle and then walked away and basically went for it to set it off, essentially. But you lit the shit though. So of course Karen gonna be in the middle. Speaking of Karen being in the middle, she goes to meet Mia. And she meets Mia at her, you know, downgrade, her new penthouse. And Karen hugged the kids, but she didn't hug Mia. And so she, you know, comes in, they sit down, and she's checking in on Mia. And Mia's just kind of like, you know, we Dr. G, he's now got to watch the kids because they can't afford no nanny. She's like, now that everything's been happening, you know, we have to put a pause on the nanny. So Dr. G, his old ass, got to keep it with them kids. But nonetheless, Karen was like, you know, thank you for inviting me over, Mia. You know, I just, you know, want to make sure that we're, you know, in a better spot. And she was like, of course, you know, Mia's like, yeah, you know, but at Ashley's party, I just, you know, I don't really know what's going on with these ladies, especially with Wendy. Because how are you talking about uplifting and you do the things that you do, especially now that I'm thinking more about it, the things that she said, like, oh, like the fact that she was like, she called me slow, it made me feel some type of way because, you know, I myself, I have a son, you know, who basically has like delayed learning or whatever. And, you know, kids are cruel and they say stuff like that, and you know, I always want to tell him that he's strong and capable. And so for Wendy to call me that, like, it really just was like unfortunate and it triggered me. And Karen stood up. She was like, well, no, because like at the end of the day, Wendy don't know nothing about your son. And she's like, well, she doesn't want to get to, like, well, why is that? She doesn't get to know. And it's like, bitch, I don't want to get to know you, nothing about you, because do you keep forgetting that you threw a drink at me with your bitch ass? Like, I think me, like, literally, is delusional. So Karen was like, no, like Wendy not like that. So I'm glad Karen called that out. She's like, what's not gonna happen is you're not gonna make me choose. Karen basically like, bitch, I'm a fence rider, okay? I will ride the fence, okay? There's anything Karen gonna do is ride the fence, which is unfortunate because at the end of the day, Karen, you know what Gizelle and Robyn did last season, and you're not calling it out either. Why is nobody having that conversation? So Karen goes with Ashley to go dress shopping, and Ashley's like, well, this is a little more matronly, but I got these new tatas. I got to get covered. So Karen, was doing some digging while she was clothes shopping. So first she asked about Ashley and, what was it? What she first asked about? I think she started asking about, Candace. She's like, I just found it real funny that, nobody mentioned Candace's name. And she's like, yeah, like, what's the point? And Karen's like, I know an icy bitch when I see one. Y'all trying to ice Candace out, but it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. Let me tell you, it ain't gonna work. Y'all want to see her not mention Candace or not bring her up? Or, first of all, Gizelle and Robyn know they can't mention Candace because they not ready for the heat to come back. They not ready for that lashing. They not. Point blank period. So then Karen started asking, Ashley was like, well, what can you tell me about the lawsuit? And she's like, well, you know more than me. Like, you talked to Candace, and Candace ain't talking about it. And Ashley's like, I don't know anything. Ashley, you a goddamn lie. You a lie. But what I agree with Karen, where it's like, it's real funny that you want to pinpoint Candace, but what is Candace saying that Robyn hasn't said, Karen hasn't said, Gizelle hasn't said? Like, Karen confirmed it right there in the confessional. She was like, everybody said the same thing. It's just that when Candace said, bitch, she know how to go for the jugular. The way she worded it hit you in the gut a little bit more, okay? So Ashley sat down with Karen, was like, well, speaking of, that I will be seeing Candace and Wendy or whatever, but speaking of Wendy, I do need to discuss with her that I may have, misconstrued, the conversation with me and Nneka. And Karen was like, bitch, what you mean? She's like, well, I just kind of said like, implied that Nneka was the one to say that she was Osu. And, now that the corona ran out of me, I'm realizing that maybe I misunderstood it. Bitch, no. You knew what you were doing. And Karen said it, bitch, you being messy. Yes, you were being messy, Ashley. Your usual self being messy. And I feel like the only reason Ashley is trying to backpedal and pop is because the producers called her out literally in the confessional. They called her out. And so she knows, well, damn, if the producers see it that blatantly, then it's going to be obvious. And so that's why she's trying to backpedal. Or at least for me, that's what I feel like. Because if it's like, damn, but the producers can see it, then that means everybody else can see what's happening. And so now Ashley's like, yeah, I just want to clear that up. So at the communion, Wendy, we know it's a big thing in Africa, the skin bleaching. And we're not going to sit here and act like your mama ain't 2 shades lighter than what we seen last season. That's all I'm going to say. Y'all drop down the comments. Y'all think Wendy's mama bleaching or not? Okay, that's all I'm going to say. But, everybody was there. It was super cute. The mama, if I was I born the boys, because if I have not gave birth to Wendy, the boys would not be here. And Ivy was like, bitch, I want what mama drinking. So everybody starts showing up. Candace, Karen, what's her name? Kiarna. They all sit down. And Wendy mama come over and was like, oh, ain't no Mia, lets me know so I can order more drinks and gets my raincoat out of the car. And they was like, ooh, because Wendy mama's on it. Like, bitch, you throw a drink on my baby. What's up? So, Ashley comes in, and it was super funny because she's like, Candace, can you move your bag? Because Candace wasn't going to move that bag. She wasn't until Ashley had to say something. And Candace's like, can we get the chair for my bag? Because she wasn't going to move it, all right? But Ashley sits down, and they basically, she's like, thanks everybody for coming. And she's like, well, I just really appreciate everybody being here. But, Candace and Ashley, you guys, let's have this conversation. This is the first time seeing each other. And Candace just straight up was like, look, I ain't got no problem with at least being in the same space as you. And Ashley, basically said ditto. And so this was the time that Karen invited everybody to play pickleball and everything. And so after the whole pickleball conversation, well, Ashley was like, well, before, we all see everybody at pickleball, like, Wendy, I do want to clarify too that I possibly may have misconstrued a few things with the conversation with Nneka. And, I feel like I came to you and you might have taken that I said that she was the one who said all those things. And Wendy was like, no, bitch, that's what you told me. You said that she was the one that was like, oh, you're Osu. And, I'm the one that shunned. And all of that stuff. And Candace is over at the side looking like this, like, bitch, I told you. Candace, her confession's like, that's all that bitch do is lie. That's why her forehead's so big, just full of lies. So at that same time, we have this final scene with Robyn and Nneka. And Nneka is basically talking to Robyn about how the past couple of weeks, she thought Wendy was going to be like crazy with her because her sister, Ivy, is contacting or knows her husband's cousin. And so behind the scenes, I guess Wendy's mama been calling up them and being like, oh, she's like, oh, allegedly, like, Nneka's using, Wendy's name, calling her a clout chaser, saying all these bad things about her. Here, Robyn all dramatic. Oh, really? Oh, my. Wow. Like, bitch, shut up. Like, you want all this gasping, nail biting stuff when it comes to other people's teeth. But you sure don't like when people talk about your shit, huh? Huh, Robyn? But she be ready to gasp about just be straight up just when it comes to other people's shit. But nonetheless, Robyn's like, oh, what? And then you don't really know her like that. So when she said hi, like, she was acting like she didn't know you. And it's like, Nneka, what did you want her to do? Like, it wasn't like Wendy was rude or nothing. She was like, hey, look, it was exchange of pleasantries. I'm just confused what the Nneka thought. I'm so upset because, like, there wasn't an issue, and now after the whole Ashley situation, Nneka is leading into there being an issue, and I'm so upset because that's not what needs to happen. It's not what needs to happen. We need to have a full up, gang up pile on Robyn, Gizelle, and Ashley's ass. So as that's happening or whatever, at the end of the episode, after Ashley sort of kind of admitted to lying, Wendy was like, but that's what you said. She was like, no, like, she didn't say it like that, I just wanted to clarify. So Wendy's like, well, I ain't got a problem with her, like, it's whatever. But literally on the flip side, Nneka's like, well, I don't know what's happening because, like, her whole mama was praying, talking about, oh, have you heard about people that I prayed for or who gone against me? They're not doing well right now. So Robyn's like, well, shit, my life's been falling apart. Maybe her Wendy's mama put a voodoo hex on me or whatever. And then that's when the episode ended. And it's like, girl, Robyn, your life is falling apart because your ancient ass husband. Nobody else. Point blank, period. So next week, you guys, they're gonna have the pickleball meet, and Juan actually shows up for his wife because he ain't got no choice but to, because the nigga done lost his job. But y'all tell me what you feel about this episode, you guys. How do you guys feel about Ashley sort of kind of coughing up to admitting that she lied to Wendy? How do you guys feel about Nneka and Wendy, like, kind of having this beef in regards to, like, the relation with Gizelle, Robyn, and Ashley and everybody on the cast? Do you guys feel like Kiana could be a good addition to the show? Okay, you guys? I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Y'all make sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and I will catch you guys later.